So this gospel is a continuation from what we heard yesterday. It's just after that last verse that we heard. We hear more about Jesus being the good shepherd. And he talks about the contrast between he and a hired man who is not a shepherd, whose sheep are not his own. He sees a wolf coming and says, "Ah!" and he runs away. And so this is the grace that God shepherds us. But there's also beauty of God's generosity. That when we look, for instance, at the priesthood, we don't say that this is my priesthood, that we have, let's say, 1 million priests in the world, or however many there are. There's one priest. There's one priest that we all only share in the divine priesthood of Jesus. It is not our own priesthood, but his. And then looking at this a little bit deeper, he calls then so many to share in his role as shepherd. Today we celebrate the memorial of St. Joseph the Worker. And we look and see how Christ has shared his incredible ministry now with Joseph. Not only while he was on this earth and, walked with him and all that, but now from heaven, Joseph is a source of grace. Not his own power, not his own grace, but he is the conduit by which Jesus chooses to pour down grace into this world. As universal patron, we can go to Joseph for anything. It's not his own power, but rather that he then goes to his divine adopted son and says, "Hey, they need this." And Jesus, of course, says, "Oh, Dad, absolutely." I'm sure those are exact words that he's saying in heaven. But we look and we see God is generous in sharing his ministry. He doesn't hold it and say, "Well, it's all mine. I am the one mediator between God and man, and no one else can share in any of this." But rather, as the one mediator between God and man, he chooses to share that way of growing close to Almighty God, that way of pouring out his grace with all the saints in heaven. And then he also allows us here on this earth, as we are on our way to sainthood, to participate in that. How generous is Almighty God? Have you ever had anyone come to know Almighty God because of you? Because of you. Some of you who are parents have had that experience, at least when they were children. Maybe not so much when they get to be adults and they run off or whatever from the faith. But also other people that witness your fidelity to Almighty God. They experience this incredible gift of God choosing to be generous, allowing you to be a witness of his love. And so we look to St. Joseph today, who does this so beautifully. And we ask him to intercede for us that we may more fully participate in the generosity of Almighty God in reaching out and being part of his shepherding ministry in whatever role that is in our lives. Because all of us, by our baptism, are priest, prophet, and king, right? So we ask Jesus, through the intercession of St. Joseph, to help us to be better conduits of his grace, better instruments of his love, to not be like the hired hand who's not a shepherd and runs away, but rather to be more like the good shepherd in leading people closer to the heart of Jesus.